One of the most controversial and divisive aspects of Pokemon GO is making a comeback, and I'm of course talking about the GPS spoofing community. This is a byproduct of Niantic nerfing remote raids, and I do think this is worth a discussion here. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video, so let's roll the intro and get right into it. Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon GO video. Now, real quick, I just hit 40,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I have to say, thank you to all of you who have been with me throughout the years. There's been a tremendous amount of growth on my YouTube channel over the past couple of months, and I have to tell you, you guys have been really great, like just commenting, having discussions in the comment section, watching my videos, and sharing my videos. Even if we have differing opinions, like a lot of you have been really engaging with me, and I really appreciate that. But in any case, yeah, I wanted to talk about GPS spoofing because this is one of those aspects of Pokemon GO that has always been incredibly controversial. A lot of people do not like the fact that GPS spoofing exists, while others make an argument that it needs to exist in order for Pokemon GO to thrive. I really cannot say that I agree with the latter. Like, I do not like GPS spoofing. I don't think it ever did anything positive for Pokemon GO, but I understand why people do GPS spoof, considering that it's not a friendly game for rural players, and considering that there's a lot of aspects of Pokemon GO that are just impossible for the average player. So yeah, GPS spoofing is kind of like that crutch that some players will utilize in order to get the best of the best experience possible. And even though it goes against the terms of service, and it's something that Niantic has fought tooth and nail against, I can understand that it has always been a part of Pokemon GO. Begrudgingly, that's what I believe. But of course, over the past couple of years after COVID-19 hit, this aspect of Pokemon GO has seen a drastic decline. And the big reason for that is of course because of the release of remote raids. Because of remote raid passes, there wasn't really a need to GPS spoof anymore. If you wanted to raid, you could just simply buy a bunch of these passes and you wouldn't need to spoof to those locations. So a lot of players opted to go the legit route and just do remote raids as opposed to GPS spoofing. But of course recently, Niantic decided to nerf down remote raids, and because of that, there was a huge uptick of GPS spoofers, at least in my area. Like, whenever I jump into raids, occasionally I'll get a handful of people who are clearly not at that location. And a big part of that is, of course, because there are certain raids that are in-person only, namely the Shadow Legendary raids. So I don't really follow the GPS spoofing community, but just from my own experiences, it does seem like there are more and more spoofers compared to last year. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Niantic really dropped the ball here by nerfing remote raid passes, and this is just one of the byproducts of those changes. Like, if Niantic were to have kept remote raid passes the way they were, and instead just design the game and balance the game around in-person raiding, then I feel like there would still be a lot less spoofers than there currently is, and Niantic could have had a more legitimate gameplay experience for a vast majority of players. But instead of doing that, they decided to open the doors for spoofers to get back into the game, mainly because remote raid passes are not a viable form of raiding anymore. I mean, when it comes to raiding, a lot of people want to do as many of them as they possibly can, simply because they want to get the shinies, they also want to get the hundos, and even the shundos, and in order to do that, you need to do as many raids as you can, and just simply doing all in-person raids is just not going to be efficient enough. So what do spoofers do? They buy a whole bunch of green raid passes, and they spoof to big cities and big locations where there's just a lot of raid activity, and then they jump into those raids. And this was essentially the core gameplay for spoofers back in the day, but because remote raid passes existed, a lot of that went away. And now that it's back, I really do not know how I feel about it. At this point, it's pretty much set in stone that Niantic is not going to roll back those remote raid pass changes, so this is going to be a reality moving forward. It looks like the game is going to be full of spoofers once again. And I do think this creates a negative environment within Pokemon GO. On top of there just being a lot of people just angry about spoofers, the fact that they even exist, it's also going to create a huge imbalance when it comes to gym control, and there's going to be a lot of players out there with the best of the best Pokemon who are just going to dominate PvP. So yeah, Niantic, you need to realize that we had a really good thing going with remote raids. Like, you know, this is just one other problem that's going to come up with this nerf, and I really feel like they just did not consider that. I mean, it seems like for the last several years, Niantic has been in a losing battle against the GPS spoofing community. Like, they really do not want people to spoof, and that makes total sense. But at the same time, it just seems like they've never been able to get rid of spoofers outright, and it just seems like spoofers are fully aware of that, so a lot of them are just spoofing like it's no big deal. Ultimately, Niantic needs to go back to the drawing board. They need to make a way for Pokemon Go to be fun without the need for GPS spoofing. Like for myself, I never ever felt the need to spoof, and I'd never really wanted to spoof, but you know, there's a lot of players out there who do not share that same sentiment, and for those players, it just seems like the game is unplayable unless they GPS spoof. And Niantic are the ones that need to do something about that. Me, as a Pokemon Go player who does not agree with spoofing, cannot get players to not spoof. That's really going to be entirely up to Niantic. It's not as simple as just creating ban waves and just having algorithms in place that's going to detect cheaters. Like, what they need to do is create gameplay incentives. They need to make the game more fun in a way where spoofing is never going to be necessary, especially in those who live in rural areas. So yeah, that's my challenge to Niantic. I really think when it comes to spoofing, I just do not like the fact that they're making a resurgence, but it is going to be inevitable because players really want to play the game a certain way, and Niantic is not making it easy for players to do that. So yeah, in any case, this is going to be a hot topic of discussion, so I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about spoofers making a resurgence? Do you not like it? Are you yourself a spoofer and feel like this is great news? Definitely share all those thoughts in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. But in any case, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you ended up enjoying it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then do consider checking out the links in the description below. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.